Imagine sitting peacefully in your favorite chair, completely alone. Suddenly, without warning, an intense, localized heat ignites from within your own skin. There is no roaring explosion, no blazing inferno consuming the room. In less than an hour, your entire body is reduced to a pile of pure, bone-white ash. Yet, the wooden chair beneath you, the newspapers resting on the armrest, and the combustible world around you remain entirely untouched by the flames. For centuries, coroners, physicians, and forensic investigators have been deeply unsettled by a terrifying phenomenon known as spontaneous human combustion. Is it a bizarre biochemical glitch, a hidden physical anomaly, or a dark medical secret hidden inside our very cells? Today, we expose the science and history behind the world's most terrifying human bonfires. To understand how modern medicine views this nightmare, we have to travel back to the first officially recorded cases, where the phenomenon wasn't just a campfire story, it was a legal verdict. In 1725, in Reims, France, a man named Jean Millet was placed on trial for the murder of his wife, Nicole. Nicole had been found in their kitchen, reduced completely to a heap of ash. Only her skull, a few vertebrae, and the lower parts of her legs remained. The wooden floorboards directly beneath her were charred, but the rest of the kitchen, including highly flammable cooking grease nearby, was completely untouched. Jean was initially convicted of murder. However, on appeal, a visionary physician named Claude Nicolas Lecat introduced a shocking defense. Nicole had not been murdered by her husband. She had been consumed by a fire generated entirely by her own body. The court accepted the medical defense, acquitting Jean and registering the cause of death as a spontaneous physical event. As the centuries rolled on, the cases only grew more baffling. The absolute peak of confusion occurred on July 2, 1951, in St. Petersburg, Florida. 67-year-old Mary Reeser vanished inside her apartment. When her landlady attempted to deliver a telegram, she found the brass doorknob scorching hot to the touch. Inside, the scene defied the laws of physics. Mary was gone. In her place was a pile of ash, a heavily shrunken skull, and her left foot still perfectly intact inside a slipper. The physical evidence puzzled investigators. Under normal circumstances, reducing a human body to ash requires temperatures similar to those inside a commercial crematorium for several hours. Yet Mary's apartment remained largely intact, with nearby furniture and wallpaper showing surprisingly little fire damage. What kind of fire could incinerate bone, yet spare paper? Early medical practitioners were desperate for an explanation, and for a long time, the blame was placed entirely on lifestyle. But as the field of toxicology matured, doctors realized this was biologically impossible. Even a profoundly intoxicated person has a blood alcohol concentration far too low to affect flammability. When alcohol was ruled out, scientists turned to internal biochemistry. Could a rare metabolic malfunction create an internal explosive? Researchers later considered ketosis, a metabolic state that produces acetone, a highly flammable chemical. Some wondered whether unusually high acetone levels inside the body could ignite. However, medical studies showed that acetone concentrations never become high enough to cause spontaneous combustion without an external ignition source. Yet, even under the most extreme medical conditions, the concentration of acetone in human tissue never reaches a point where it can spontaneously combust without a massive, sustained external heat source. If the fire wasn't coming from a bottle, and it wasn't coming from a biological glitch, where was it coming from? The true breakthrough came when forensic scientists stopped looking for a magical internal spark and started analyzing the physical mechanics of the burn site. What they discovered is a grim, slow-motion phenomenon known as the Wick Effect. The Wick Effect works much like a candle. Clothing acts as the wick, while melted body fat becomes the fuel, allowing a slow, localized fire to burn for many hours. In cases of alleged spontaneous combustion, the human body inadvertently becomes an inverted candle. An external ignition source, such as a cigarette, fireplace ember, or small flame, ignites the victim's clothing. Once the fire reaches body fat, it can sustain itself for hours. The intense heat melts the body fat, which is then absorbed directly into the charred clothing. This creates a highly localized, self-sustaining fire that burns at a relatively low, steady intensity. Because the fire burns slowly and inward, it can consume much of the body while producing relatively little external flame, leaving nearby objects surprisingly undamaged. Every thoroughly investigated case of spontaneous combustion has shared a tragic common denominator: an elderly or incapacitated victim, a source of open flame nearby, and hours of uninterrupted time. What early doctors mistook for a supernatural or internal medical anomaly was actually an extraordinary, tragic quirk of forensic physics. The human body doesn't generate a fire from within. Rather, under the perfect, terrifying alignment of conditions, it simply sustains one. The mystery of the human bonfires reminds us that the human body is a complex, fragile machine, capable of burning out in ways that science is only just beginning to truly map. If you want to uncover more dark, forgotten chapters of medical history and anomalous science, make sure to subscribe to Mel's Medical Mystery. Until next time, stay curious.